All right, let's dive into a tool that tons of developers have in their back pocket, but maybe don't always use to its full potential, Redis. You probably know it as a wicked fast cache, right? But it is so much more than that. It's a problem-solving machine, a true Swiss Army knife for building modern applications. So let's open it up and see what kind of tools we've got inside.
I mean, really think about it for a second. How does that shopping site remember what's in your cart after you've closed the browser? Or how does your login page stop you dead in your tracks after you've failed your password 5 times? Well, the secret sauce behind a lot of that magic, it often comes down to using Redis in some really clever ways.
You see, for developers in the know, Redis isn't just a box you stuff data into. No way. They see it as this multi-tool, packed with these specialized gadgets that offer up incredibly clean, elegant solutions to some of the most annoying problems you run into when building for the web.
Now, to really appreciate the first tool in our knife, we got to get our heads around the web's biggest, most fundamental problem. The protocol that runs everything, HTTP, is what we call stateless. That basically means every single time you click a link or refresh a page, the server has total amnesia. It has no clue who you are or what you were just doing. Every request is like starting a brand new conversation.
So if the web is designed to be forgetful, how do websites possibly remember us from one click to the next? Well, they use this thing called a session. But here's the catch. As your app gets bigger and more popular, just managing these sessions can become a massive headache. Let's see why.
This is one of those good problems to have that turns into a real problem fast. Your site's a hit, so you add more servers to handle the load. But look what happens. Your first click goes to server A. It creates your session, everything's great. But then your next click gets sent over to server B by the load balancer. And server B, well, it's never met you before. And just like that, you're logged out. So frustrating.
The solution, it turns out, is beautifully simple. You just stop storing sessions on the individual web servers. Instead, you move all that session data into one central place, a shared database that every single one of your servers can talk to. That way, it doesn't matter if your request hits server A, B, or Z, they're all looking at the same source of truth.
And this is where Redis is just the perfect tool for the job. First off, it's insanely fast because it lives in memory. Getting session data is a sub-millisecond operation, which is critical. Second, it has this awesome feature for auto-expiry, or time to live. You can just tell Redis, hey, this session is only good for 30 minutes, and poof, Redis handles the cleanup for you. And finally, its basic key-value structure is a perfect match for mapping a unique session ID to all your users' data.
Okay, let's pull out the next tool from our Swiss Army knife. We've figured out how to keep our users logged in. Great. Now, how do we protect our app from being abused or attacked? That's where rate limiting comes into play.
The core idea here is super simple. We just want to set some ground rules. We want to be able to say things like, okay, any single user can only try to log in 5 times in a 10-minute window, or this API key can only make 100 requests per hour. It's a simple defense against things like brute force password attacks, and it helps keep our services from falling over.
And this slide right here perfectly shows why Redis is king for this job. If you try to do this with a regular database, it's a 3-step dance. You read the count, you add 1, you write it back. The problem? If 2 requests hit at the exact same millisecond, they can both read the same number and your count will be wrong. That's a race condition. But with Redis, you just use one command, incr. It's a single atomic operation, meaning it's guaranteed to happen all at once, flawlessly. It's safe and it's fast.
So let's look at how this plays out. A user fails a login. First, we increment a special counter just for them. If this is the first time they've failed in a while, if that count is now 1, we also set that counter to expire in, say, 10 minutes. Then, on every attempt, we check, is the count greater than 5? If it is, sorry, request rejected. And of course, if they finally get the password right, we just delete the counter. Clean slate, it's so simple and so powerful.
All right, let's shift gears a bit. We've talked about state and security. Now let's talk about user experience. Because we've all been there, right? Staring at a loading spinner, waiting for a website to do something slow, like process an order or send out an email. This is the golden rule. Your user's interaction with your site should feel instantaneous. All the slow, heavy lifting? That should happen behind the curtain, in the background, long after the user has moved on.
And the fancy term for this magic trick is asynchronous processing. All it means is that we're separating the initial, quick request from the slow task that needs to happen because of it. We're unblocking the user.
And here's how it works.
Think of your web app as the producer. When a user signs up, the producer doesn't try to send the welcome email itself. No, that's slow. It just scribbles a quick note that says, send email to user123 and drops it into a queue, which is just a Redis list. That's super fast. Then you have these separate programs running, the consumers, whose only job is to watch that queue, grab tasks, and do the actual slow work.
Now here's the really elegant part. A clumsy way to build this would be for the consumer to constantly ask Redis, got a job for me yet? How about now? Now? That's called polling, and it's incredibly inefficient. But Redis has a much smarter way, a command called blpop, which stands for blocking left pop. The consumer just tells Redis, hey, let me know when there's a job. And it just waits, quietly. The second a new task hits that list, Redis instantly wakes up the consumer and hands it the job. It's beautiful. No wasted cycles.
Okay, time for our final tool. Everything we've talked about so far has been about one-to-one communication. A session for one user or a task for one worker. But what if you need to broadcast a message to many, many listeners, all at the same time, like a system-wide megaphone?
This is the publish-subscribe pattern, or pub/sub for short. You have a publisher that sends a message, but not to a specific person. It sends it to a channel. You can think of it like a radio station, maybe named Sports Scores or Live Chat. Then you have any number of subscribers who are tuned into that channel. They all get the message at the exact same time. The publisher doesn't even know who's listening.
Now, this is the most critical thing to understand about Redis pub/sub. It has no memory. It is purely fire and forget. Unlike our task queue, where a task will sit and wait for a worker, a published message is gone in an instant. If you shout a message into a channel and absolutely no one is subscribed at that moment, that message just vanishes into thin air.
And this table just lays it all out perfectly. Task queues are for work that needs to get done. It's a one-to-one relationship, and that work is persistent. It will wait in the queue until exactly one worker picks it up. Pub/sub, on the other hand, is for broadcasting real-time information. It's a one-to-many relationship, and it's not persistent at all. It's for right now or not at all.
So we've unpacked 4 different tools, 4 different patterns. Let's zoom out for a second and see the big picture here. How does this all come together?
It's really this simple. You have the problem of users getting logged out as your site scales. Bam! Redis as a session store is your solution. You're worried about brute force attacks? Rate limiting with Redis has your back. Your app feels sluggish and makes users wait? Task queues to the rescue. You need to push live updates to everyone at once? That's a job for pub/sub. 4 common problems, 4 incredibly clean solutions, all from one versatile tool.
And that's the real power of thinking in Redis patterns. They're not just some academic exercise. They are proven, real-world solutions to the problems that developers run into every single day. They let you build things that are faster, safer, and just plain better. So the only question left is, now that you know about the tools, where are you going to build with them?